Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 3, and yes, they are currently shooting a third movie, has had a lot of really interesting development during its pre-production. From updating the titular villain's looks to hiring an iconic voice actor of the horror genre to be in the movie, this is definitely looking to be one of the more promising entries in the Twisted Childhood universe. But since I've made my previous video on Blood and Honey 3, which, by the way, a massive thank you to everyone who watched that video. I genuinely wasn't expecting it to do this well, so this was a very pleasant surprise. Again, massive thank you everyone. But as I was saying, since that video went public, we've gotten even more major updates for the upcoming movie, and I wanted to go ahead and share my thoughts on them. So without further ado, cue the intro. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video, and if you do all of that, then you are officially groovy. So, let's get the obvious right out of the way. Tigger already has a new design. If you saw my community post, you would have already known what Tigger's new look was gonna be, but if you haven't yet, this is Tigger's new look. And overall first impressions, I do think it is really good. It's got a good amount of attention to detail with all the furs and patterns, and he definitely comes off as a very enticing looking villain. Plus, I think it's a major step up from the initial design they were originally going for. That one just felt a bit too cartoony and over the top for my liking, and I didn't think it fit the vibes of the Twisted Childhood universe. So I'm glad that they toned his look down just a little bit. I think the darker furs and the new shape of his head works a lot more for me. Though I will say, his new look does kind of remind me of the werewolf slash werecat from Michael Jackson's Thriller music video. And it turns out I'm not the only person who thinks that. By the way, speaking of Michael Jackson, I actually just saw his new biopic the other day. It's really good, by the way, go check it out. And also, we got a little behind the scenes video of Tigger's actor Louis Santer in his full makeup. So here's a look at that real quick.
I'm back.
And it's worth noting that this is going to be the finalized version for Tigger's design, so I hope you like the new design. Anyways, while I do prefer this new look over the previous design, I am still a bit torn about the upgrades overall. As of now, we still don't have any clue as to why they look drastically different, but there's been a few speculations online as to why they look different. And I actually did get a few comments from people on my last video on what they think is the reason behind all of this, with someone making a really good point stating, "A theory is that Tigger probably did die in the second film thanks to getting shot by Christopher Robin, and the new design is the result of the regeneration. Maybe every time the characters regenerate, they become more animalistic than before." So what a few people have been suggesting is that when the crossbreeds come back to life, they evolve into new looks that appear more savage and feral, which makes them an even greater threat against Christopher Robin. I will say this, when you think about it from that perspective, it makes the new designs a lot more forgivable in my opinion. And supposedly the Twisted Childhood universe guys said that they weren't a fan of Tigger's design in Blood and Honey 2, saying that it was eerily similar to Pooh's design and that it also resembled more of a dog instead of a tiger. And I gotta be honest, I actually did have the same initial thoughts the first time I saw Tigger's design for the second movie. While I did think it looked solid overall, it did have a lot of noticeable similarities to Pooh's design in that movie. So I do think it was the right call to tweak his look a little bit more to make it more stand out from Pooh's design. And that is something I do really appreciate about the Twisted Childhood universe team. The fact that for each new installment they're like, okay, what can we do to make this one better than the last? There's obviously a lot of unique lore that they came up with, and they want to present it to their best abilities. And while a good amount of people are obviously not going to be fans of the end product, you can tell that they're not half-assing it and are really trying to put in as much effort as they can to make the best movie possible. But as always, there's still going to be room for improvement, and while I do think Tigger and Pooh's final designs are very well done, there they're honestly too good for this kind of movie. You know what I mean? Let me explain. I personally think that if you're trying to aim for a specific look for your characters, that particular look should also try to reflect on the actual tone of the movie. If you look back at the designs for Blood and Honey 2, they're a lot more intimidating looking compared to the first movie, but still kind of look goofy. So because of that, I think a good balance of horror and camp is your way to go. But one of the most common complaints I've heard about Blood and Honey 2 is that it takes itself way too seriously.
I would have preferred something campy and fun. For a Winnie the Pooh horror flick, it takes itself way too seriously.
And that probably could have accounted for why it wasn't as well received as other horror movies. That's actually one of the same criticisms I had for Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. Although I thought it was a fine enough horror movie on its own, I think the more serious tone didn't balance well with the decision to make the villains based off of characters from a fairy tale. And if I were to simply judge the tone of Blood and Honey 3 based off of the new looks, it seems like it's also going to be a more serious movie as well. And I just don't think that's what a lot of people want to see. You can definitely add more serious scenes to the movie, but when your villains are the f***ing characters from Winnie the Pooh, you should definitely add some campiness as well to make things feel more even. One of the reasons why the last couple of Terrifier movies work so well for a lot of audiences is because it was able to introduce its more serious lore and drama into the story, while also having comedic and entertaining moments and over-the-top gore. They wanted to make this unique story with Sienna's relationship with her father and how it tied into Art the Clown, but at the same time, they were aware that the main villain was a goofy-ass clown, so they knew to throw in some comedic bits as well to entertain the audience. It's kind of like a horror movie sample buffet where you get a taste of everything. Even other movies based on IPs like The Mean One or Screamboat were aware of what kind of movie they were making, and it's clear that they embraced that and chose to make them over the top, almost like classic B-movie slashers from the 80s. Basically what I'm saying is that if you're gonna make horror movies that make storybook characters the main villains, you should definitely embrace the silliness of those ideas and incorporate it into your final cut. Instead, while I do think they're putting in as much effort as they can, it's clear that they're making these movies way more dramatic than they really need to be, and I think that's reflected with these new makeup looks. Since they're a lot scarier looking than last time, I have a suspicious feeling that they're gonna aim for an even more dark and serious mood than Blood and Honey 2. And again, while I do think they are really good, they just seem a bit too good for this kind of movie, and I think that's the reason why the new redesigns threw me off a little bit. Hope that makes sense to everyone else. Next thing I want to mention is the stuff regarding Owl and Piglet. You may have noticed that whenever I've talked about these new makeup designs, I've only really ever mentioned Pooh and Tigger. So you're like, where's the new looks for Owl and Piglet? Here's the thing, there aren't going to be new designs for these characters, because it was just confirmed that they are going to be completely absent. And if I had to assume, it would probably be because of budget reasons. These movies obviously don't cost a lot to make, and the new makeup designs don't exactly look cheap. So chances are having to do double duty for that would be just too expensive. And not to mention, they're also introducing Rabbit into the story, so that would be a lot of makeup to do for just one low-budget indie movie. So that's probably why, but for those who were looking forward to seeing Owl and Piglet in this movie, I'm sorry for your loss. And lastly, we do have one more major update with Blood and Honey 3, and once again, it's another bizarre casting decision, because joining the cast of Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 3 is none other than 3C Films. Now, if you're unaware who that is, 3C Films, aka Chris Parker, is a dude who puts out a lot of news and reviews all about movies, kinda like what I do. And also, just like yours truly as well, Chris has made a lot of videos talking about the Twisted Childhood universe and all the updates surrounding that franchise. And he's probably given more publicity to the TCU than any other movie YouTuber on the platform. He's probably helped get these movies a lot more attention than they would have originally. So as a reward for that, he he ended up getting casted in Blood and Honey 3 playing a character named Morris. And it turns out that this is also going to be his first acting role in a movie, because he does actually have an IMDb page, but his only other credited quote-unquote role is when he cameoed in some other YouTuber's video. So this is his first official acting gig in a movie. And while at first it may seem kind of weird to cast a YouTuber in your horror movie, I don't automatically think that's going to be a bad decision. We just had Iron Lung come out a few months back, and as far as I know, that was Markiplier's first big acting role. And overall, I think he did a really great job in that movie. And also, Chris does have a very deep knowledge when it comes to movies, so he definitely has that going for him. So we don't know too much detail about his character in the movie yet, but in one of his most recent videos, he did hint at the fact that his character is gonna get killed in some brutal fashion.
As a lifelong horror fan, it's a bucket list item to get killed in a horror movie, to get offered the chance to do that, and they have told me what will be happening to me in the movie. I am so excited for you guys to see it.
So hey, I'm pretty happy that he gets the opportunity to do this, and I hope he has a blast on set. Alright, I should be pretty caught up now on all the new updates for Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 3. So I'm gonna pass it over to you guys. What do you guys think of the new updates? Are they intriguing enough to make you want to see this movie now? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. See ya.